Josina joins us now after the Jets and the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins getting that 5-point win to lock up the 7th seed in the AFC. Josina, obviously Tyreek's very happy, but what is the overall mood of this team? Certainly finding out that they're going to be having to go up to Orchard Park to take on the Bills in that game next week.
Well, they're not quite talking about just the temperature of having to face Buffalo and Orchard Park yet, but just watching them come off the field and in the tunnel. I mean, multiple attempts at chest bumps, guys doing the dirty dolphin, which is, I think, a new dance that maybe Bradley Chubb made up in the locker room there, tripping over themselves on the carpet, getting into the locker room. And so you felt that enthusiasm. But what also stood out to me is how quickly I felt like it kind of subsided, where I felt like the Dolphins were just kind of retreating into business mode because they know, although this is an accomplishment in and of itself, it's not the ultimate goal. And right away, especially in the wild card round, you got to turn around and focus real quick. But a good accomplishment not only for Tyreek Hill coming over from Kansas City, also for Mike McDaniel and getting a record above 500 against all odds in terms of having to deal with 3 different quarterbacks and transitioning from Tua and Teddy and Skyler, being on a 5-game losing streak at the end of the year, similar to what the Jets are going through on a 5-game losing streak as well, and also dealing with multiple quarterbacks. So you saw a team have to kind of ride the wave of adversity and come back. And you heard Tyreek in that interview basically talk about how that 5-game losing streak was good for them because it allowed them to have to go through multiple different types of scenarios that he feels in turn will turn around and reward them and give them that preparation that they need in the postseason.
One of the things that stood out, certainly in that conversation, you were trying to get some information about Tua out of him, but he said, it is just different when Tua is the quarterback. We rally around Tua, but is there a sense that they are going to be able to rally around Teddy Bridgewater or Skylar Thompson if that's the case, if Tua can't go? And in regards to Tua, is there anything official about his status for next week?
So, yeah, you notice multiple attempts there to try to get some information on Tua and just what the word was in the locker room on the underground grapevine or what have you. Now, Tyreek wasn't giving it up with his eye looks or what have you, but that's okay. But I think in the wake of everything that happened with Damar Hamlin, I just think the overall context around the league is going to make it that much harder to potentially try to go back to Tua no matter how he's feeling, simply because when you just look at the progressive nature of being in the concussion protocol for the second time, and having gone through this for some of us, the way we're looking at it in the media for the 3rd time. This is the 2nd time I've come back. The 1st time, that's when Tua went through that in this back corner in the end zone here when they were facing the Bills. And so it's just kind of hard in that context when you're talking about overall care of player health and player safety, the optics of how that would look if he would go back out there. And can you imagine that happened for a 4th time or something like that? So those are the circumstances that you're thinking about. And then, you're looking at Skyler's performance today, coming in there and having mistake-free football, not a touchdown, but also not an interception for a rookie. Multiple players on the offensive side and the defensive side highlighted how he was able to do that for them so that if they have to turn back to him, at least they gather the confidence from today that they can do it. Now, it's not the explosive, potent offense that we were seeing at the beginning, but they still found a way to get it done, albeit against QB3 and the Jets. So we'll just have to see. But, right now I would say I would be surprised to see it, but the Dolphins have done a lot of things that have surprised us this season, so I don't know. We'll see.
Well, and if Tua is in there, the Dolphins are going to have to play their best game of the season by far if they are to take down this Bills team, which is on a roll right now. Josina, just before we let you go, wanted to ask you about Jim Caldwell. You were reporting that Caldwell is set to talk to the Panthers. What's the latest on that situation and his potential candidacy as their head coach?
So we know that the Carolina Panthers have interim head coach Steve Wilks, who I think did a fine job, just leading the team in the wake of Robbie Anderson leaving, Christian McCaffrey leaving, and having to kind of just steady the ship. But the reality is that they do have a vacancy with that job in the sense that they are taking interviews. So I got the information during the game that Jim Caldwell is expected to have an interview on Monday with the Panthers. And you're talking about a candidate, although he has been out of the league for a while as a head coach in 4 years just over there with the Detroit Lions. He never had any less than 7 wins, went to the playoffs twice, and in 3 seasons with the Indianapolis Colts still was able to make a Super Bowl appearance. So you're talking about somebody who obviously worked with Peyton Manning, worked with Matthew Stafford, having that type of success. And I think what even stands out even more about Jim Caldwell is how they performed after he was let go with other coaches that came after him. So I think it's a fitting opportunity for him to get an opportunity to talk with the Carolina Panthers. I'm sure that they're going to talk to multiple candidates, but we will see how it goes. But as of right now, starting up with Jim Caldwell on Monday.
And of course, Steve Wilkes there as the interim. Josina Anderson in Miami watching the Jets and the Dolphins as the Dolphins secure the 7 seed in the AFC playoffs. Thanks, Josina. Each and every Sunday morning, the NFL Today crew is getting you ready for game day. James Brown, Bill Cowher, Phil Simms, Nate Burleson, Boomer Esiason breaking down all the big games on the slate and on CBS. The NFL Today airs every Sunday morning. Check your local listings or stream the show on Paramount+.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.